It's such a pleasure to be here because the science behind the Jeunesse products is what makes this company absolutely outstanding and heads above everyone else. And tonight I want to give you an overview about why AM/PM is different and so much more than just a vitamin mineral supplement. So let's get started. Okay, so in 2014 we were doing some major research and trying to figure out how do we change or turn old stem cells into young stem cells, and we came across this technique where we actually could change the genes that hold the code to how your cells age. We could change those genes so that they work more like a younger cell than the old cells that we actually had. And so that was the concept of what we started to create and how we use that concept to create AM/PM, which in essence, basically we've learned what compounds, what natural occurring plant extracts, fruits, probiotics we need to change the genes that are involved in cellular aging. So with that, I want to kind of get into the detail of what we're doing. Now, the key thing that sets Jeunesse apart from all the other companies is the YES system, the Youth Enhancement System. And some of the key concepts behind that are the fact that the products work from the inside out, that is from the most intimate level of the cell, our genes, to the outer aspect of the body, our skin, and from the skin inward into the inner aspect of our body, the cells. Secondly, the YES system products are synergistic. That means if you use more than one product at a time, the impact of those products are even greater than if you use the products alone. Okay, and lastly, these products are experiential. That means that when you are using a Jeunesse product, you not only see the difference, but you feel the difference. So that's what makes Jeunesse absolutely unique, and that's what allows Jeunesse to continue to be the leader in the field of, if you will, anti-aging and in the MLM arena. So the secret here with AM/PM is the fact that we're working at the most intimate level of the 100 trillion cells that make up the human body, that is our genes. Now keep in mind the concept of our DNA as a genetic software program is now kind of at the forefront of cellular research. And what we figured out now is what genes are involved in the cellular aging process, and the fact that we actually have information to help augment the genes that are involved in health and longevity and decrease the genes that are involved in aging and rapid aging in general. Now, in the human body, we have over 100 trillion cells. The vast majority of those cells are our body cells or somatic cells. Those are the things we see and feel, our skin, our hair, our nails, our muscles. But as we age day by day, what happens is those cells get damaged from the environment, from the food we eat, from maybe not an ideal lifestyle. And those cells have to be replaced by what are called our adult stem cells. And those stem cells then go to the areas of injury, replace those body cells so they can work, your organs and system in your body can work more optimally. But the real secret is this: we're all born with a fixed number of stem cells. So if we don't take care of our body and we use up those stem cells quicker, we don't live a long, healthy life. So one of the focuses of AM/PM was to create a formula that goes way beyond what vitamins and minerals do. And this formula has been designed based on our stem cell research, and the ingredients that we have in the AM formula and PM formula actually help our stem cells function longer and more optimally, and our body cells. So when people ask you or tell you, I already take a vitamin mineral product, AM/PM is the next evolutionary step beyond. It's based on this whole new science of what we call epigenetics, or the ability to target key genes that are involved in the cellular aging process and help our cells age more efficiently. So again, we're just focusing here on what makes AM/PM different. There are virtually no other products that I know of that talk about helping or enhancing how both your body cells and your stem cells function, because this is what the cutting edge research is about. So let's take a look at what happens as we age from youth to adolescence to a mature adult. we have to use up those stem cells, the number of stem cells that we are born with. And that's what helps us develop into a mature, healthy, and optimally healthy adult. Now that's called developmental aging or positive aging. Even though we're using up our stem cells, that's what the purpose of those stem cells really are, to help us arrive to the point where we're at our optimal health and optimal physical shape. Then what happens after about, believe it or not, after about 28 to 30 years of age, we start to lose the number of our stem cells, and we start to accumulate what's called bad or senescent cells. These are damaged cells that accumulate basically due to the environment and poor lifestyle. Those damaged cells actually cause our healthy cells to age quicker. So what happens is, as we lose the number and function of our cells, we age quickly, and we see the results of the aging process much more rapidly. So again, the focus of AM/PM is to help maintain both our body cells and our stem cells to function longer and more efficiently. You know, DNA has, our whole concept of what DNA has changed recently. And I would say in the last 2 or 3 years, even people like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, and some of the key innovators in the technology world are now starting to kind of compare our DNA and each one of our cells like a computer program. But even Bill Gates has said, DNA is like a computer program, but far, far more advanced than any software we've ever created. And this has changed our whole concept of how can we as individuals actually reprogram our DNA or our genetic software. And we're going to talk about that as this whole webinar goes on. So we all have laptops, we all have iPhones, and we all know what happens to our laptop and our iPhones as, for instance, we might get a malware or a virus into our software. What happens is that that computer software doesn't work as optimally, and if we continue to accumulate damage to our, quotes, computer software, our computer crashes or our iPhone doesn't work. Now, I want you to think of something. We have 100 trillion cells in our body. Our DNA is like a genetic software program, and as we accumulate damage from free radicals, from the environment, from a poor lifestyle, our cell's genetic software starts to work poorly until it crashes. And what happens is, when that happens, is we suffer poor health, and we notice a rapid aging of our body, skin, and our function in general. So let's keep this in mind as we go through this. So what happens? So when we take, for instance, a positive compound, let's say our AM tablets in the morning, those tablets go through our intestines, get absorbed into our bloodstream, and then make their ways to the cells of our body through the blood vessels. A signal is then created when those components of the AM product hits one of the cells. It creates a signal on the surface of that cell that goes inside the cell. And what happens is that signal will activate a certain group of genes that we've decided we need to keep working positively. And then what happens is that signal will release a specific protein that actually is involved in covering the DNA, our chromosomes, which cover our DNA. Think of it as a sleeve on when you wear a long sleeve sheet, a long sleeve shirt, that sleeve is covering your skin. But if you pull your sleeve up and you see your skin, that's exactly what happens with our DNA. Our DNA is exposed. So when these regulatory proteins from the signal go to our DNA, that sleeve of covering, or our chromosomes, are opened. And what happens is the genes are exposed. At that time, we have a specific protein that actually will then move down the DNA, which is our genetic code. And then what happens is this specific protein called RNA polymerase will make a copy of the DNA, but instead of DNA, it makes a copy of RNA. Now, that RNA then creates a protein that leaves the cell, and it's that protein that will go and make muscle, bone, cartilage, or whatever that segment of DNA has coded for. So the DNA itself is not what creates the protein. It's the signals that the cell receives from whatever compounds we give it that create the proteins. And then that protein will leave the cell, circulate through, for instance, a bloodstream, and then interact with every one of the other 100 trillion cells that make our body. So DNA our concept has changed. It is not DNA that dictates what happens to our future health or our cells, but it's a signal that arrives to DNA that creates RNA, that creates the proteins that circulate through our body that can keep us healthy, or that can cause us to age rapidly. So we've learned what to use to a big degree to stimulate the key genes that are on the code of DNA. Now, what makes AM/PM, again, different from any other vitamin mineral supplement is we're looking at anywhere from 77 to 90 different ingredients that we have in both the AM formula and PM formula. Plant extracts, fruit extracts, vitamins, minerals, as well as probiotics, prebiotics, and fruit extracts. Now, over the last 500,000 years, human beings have evolved on these natural compounds. But unfortunately, we do not have the supply of these natural ingredients all year long. So what we've been able to do is isolate out which one of these natural ingredients actually activate the key genes we want to be active and decrease the genes we feel are involved in cellular aging. And so we've selected those key ingredients, concentrated them, and allow you to get those all year long with AM and PM formulas. In essence, what we're doing is activating our genetic code with the right materials. So again, AM/PM is positioned as kind of the fundamental product in the YES system, if you will, because as we begin to take AM/PM, what we see is that every one of the 100 trillion cells in our body, including our stem cells, have the potential to work more efficiently, to be more receptive to the compounds that are floating through our body. And when that happens, every one of the other YES system's ingredients can potentially work even more efficiently. So we did an interesting study over 300 people, and we tried to take a look at what do people experience like at the end of a week, 8 weeks, 12 weeks of being on AM/PM. One of the most important things we found out was we actually noticed that the biggest thing that people felt initially was they sleep better. The second biggest thing we noticed that they had more energy in the morning. Now that was at 8 weeks. So what we realized is that it takes up to 8 weeks for your body to actually absorb these key compounds so our genetic machinery can start to work optimally. But at 12 weeks, we noticed that people continue to improve, and that was what we call nutritional loading. That means those ingredients that each one of our cells need actually needed to build up a reserve, nutritional reserve. And when we have the additional ingredients beyond the basic function of what that cell needs, our cells can respond to stress much more efficiently when that occurs. So nutritional loading is the first 8 weeks. Nutritional reserve happens up to 12 weeks. So this is a whole new concept, again, on why nutrition is important and why it takes a certain amount of time to feel your best. Now, the second component of what we really understand as far as our DNA is, if we look at DNA as our genetic software, there's two main programs. The first program is, what is the software program that causes or allows our cells to function at their optimal best? And the second sub-program is, gee, we didn't realize that each one of our cells has a AM program, a genetic program, and a PM program, or nighttime program. You know, evolutionarily, as we evolved as humans, we had to sleep at night to restore ourselves, to repair the damage that our bodies occurred when we were primitive humans. And in the morning, we needed to have optimal energy and focus so that we could make it through the day, go hunt and gather food, and avoid being killed by the animals in our environment. So that AM energy and focus and PM sleep and repair cycles are part of the genetic program built into each one of our cells. So that's the reason why we have both an AM formula and a PM formula. And if we take a look at the individual ingredients, there is a difference in the groupings of compounds that we have in AM as opposed to PM. Let me give you an example. PM PM formula has specific groups of amino acids, arginine, ornithine, lysine, certain extracts from plants, poppy seed extract, chamomile extract, things that induce sleep, help you stay asleep longer, and also help with cellular repair. On the other hand, AM has ingredients that help stimulate the production of ATP, which is our body's energy source. So as we actually are understanding the cellular aging process better, we're able to continually improve the ingredients we put into AM and PM. Now, many people ask me, gee, Dr. G, it says on the label you should be taking 2 AMs and 2 PMs. So let me tell you what's unique about AM and PM. AM and PM really is a personalized product. So if you're a person who is 250 pounds and 6 feet 2 or 3 inches tall, your body's bigger than a small Asian person. So what we found out is everybody can adjust the number of tablets they take based upon how they feel and how big they are. So if you're an average person, you want to take 2 AMs, 2 PMs. Now, personally, I'm like an average person size. So I take 2 AMs, I take another AM at lunchtime, and I take either 2 or 3 PMs at night because that's how my body responds the best to get the best sleep. So what I'm telling everybody is experiment a little bit. If you feel you need a little more energy, you can take an extra AM. If you feel you're not getting the deep and the amount of sleep you need, you can take an extra PM. And if you feel you need a little extra energy in the afternoon, there's nothing wrong with taking an extra AM at lunchtime. So these are the things that I'm trying to explain to people. If you happen to be 90 pounds or 100 pounds, you may need just 1 AM and 1 PM. So the secret to this product is, and the good thing about this product is, you can personalize your dose based upon how you feel. And we're going to talk about the ideal dosages and some of the question and answer session later. So one of the key things we're seeing now in the research you're doing at Harvard and in other universities is DNA is the blueprint, okay? But the environment, that is our lifestyle, what we take into our body, the stress we have, our thoughts and our emotions, all of this controls the DNA blueprint. And so it's not the DNA so much that counts, it's what the DNA is exposed to. Do you exercise correctly? Do you get enough sleep? Do all of these things actually turn on and off for different genes? And this is a whole new group of information that in the last year and a half or so we've been exposed to. So AM/PM also comes in 2 forms. It comes in our powder form and it comes in the tablet form. Now, many people have asked me, gee, Dr. G, how come some of the ingredients are different in the powder than they're in the tablets? So we have over 100 different markets that we go to, different countries. And certain countries allow certain compounds and other countries don't. Now, one of the reasons why we have anywhere from 70 to 90 ingredients in AM/PM is because certain countries will allow a certain compound. And if we have to edit those compounds to be approved in a country, we can choose, for instance, instead of melatonin, I can choose a compound called L-tryptophan, which turns into serotonin, which then makes melatonin within your body. So we can edit the formula based on our market so that the end result is the product has the same effect. So I didn't want, and I get that question all the time, why is there certain different formulas in different countries? But rest assured, what we're doing is creating and putting in the ingredients so the end result is what we need. So, you can go to any other MLM company and you're going to notice they have vitamins and minerals. Now, if you were to take and go to, for instance, a vitamin mineral store, and there's many different ones we can mention, and we've done this, and we've taken every ingredient AM and every ingredient PM and bought the individual capsules or tablets, you would have so many tablets and capsules, you couldn't even swallow them once a day, never mind twice a day. So what we've done is not only condensed those active ingredients, but AM/PM tablets and the capsules are made in a fashion so that as you swallow them, the acid inside the stomach doesn't ruin or denature the proteins. And as you go into the small intestine, the ingredients are absorbed. So even the delivery system, how AM/PM is actually experienced in your body, or metabolized in your body is another part of the secret behind AM/PM's efficiency. Now, let's talk about this. You know, we have 100 trillion cells inside the human body. Each one of those cells has 30,000 genes. And at any one point in time in your life, there's only about 10% or 3,000 of those genes that are active. So when you're a young child, there might be 3,000 genes that help you develop into an adolescent, and then those genes get turned off, and another 3,000 help you evolve into a mature adult. And that's all good. But once we hit about 30, the other genes that we don't want to get turned on start to get active. Now, how can we impair or slow down that process? Is through our lifestyle, exercise, diet, the amount of stress, the supplements, and even what we think and feel, that is our emotions, all interact and change how those genes are activated. So we used to think we inherit genetic certainty. We don't. We inherit genetic potential, and we have the potential as individuals to alter the genes we've inherited so that they work more optimally. So really the burden is on us with information and the right products to learn what to use to stay healthy. So one of the key things behind AM/PM is the fact that it really helps us sleep. Okay, now one of the key things about sleep is, you know, we didn't realize this up until a few years ago, but many people feel they can get along with 2 or 3 or 4 hours of sleep. The latest research shows that if we don't get at least 7 hours of sleep, our incidence of depression, of cognitive dysfunction or loss of memory is dramatically 5 to 6 times greater than the average person. If we don't get 7 hours of sleep, our incidence of cardiovascular disease, stroke, and even breast cancer in women is 5 to 6 times greater than the average person. So sleep is one of the most important things. Pre and probiotics, we used to think that pre and probiotics were involved only in digestion, but what we realize now is the small intestine is where our immune system, the majority of our immune system, our immunoglobulins are formed. And if we don't have the right balance of good bacteria, our immune system isn't functioning well. Vitamins and minerals, particularly B6, C, D, D3, and E, are the ones that help the immune system stay at its optimal level. Now, the other thing is, the more body fat we have, the more inflammation we have. So if we can keep our body composition less fat and more muscle, what happens is with regular exercise and some of the Yes System products like Zen Fuse, Zen Prime, and even, for instance, Vita Blue, those 3 products actually alter the environment inside our bodies to help us maintain a more functional and optimal immune function. So what we're starting to see now is AM/PM plus some of the other key Yes System products. The synergy has a lot to do with keeping us healthy and optimally function. And here are the key products that if we're looking to really keep ourselves as optimally healthy from an immune point of view, and there's tons of research to support this, we want to keep the number of our stem cells higher because that's what helps with our immune function. Vita Blue has been documented to do that. AM/PM has been documented not only to help with our vitamins and minerals and regulate the key genes involved in cell aging, but more importantly, it actually activates specific genes called the sirtuin genes that are involved in longevity and extended health. Reserve, for instance, if we're living in an environment in the intercity area where you get a lot of exposure to antioxidants, electromagnetic fields, and tons of stress, we need extra antioxidants. Now, although AM/PM has those, we need a reserve of those antioxidants, and that's where reserve comes in. Now, Zen Fuse and Prime are essential. Without the right amount of protein in our body, we can't make immunoglobulins and keep our immune system strong. And protein is what helps create virtually every component to our bodies, from our muscle to cartilage to our immune system. So the Yes System actually contains some of the key 3 or 4 key products that really can help us maintain an optimal immune function. If we're looking, for instance, Zen Fuse and AMPM, Mark McDonald and I have been working on what can help, what are the combination of key products that help us with an ideal immune function? I mean, as well as body composition. And if our body composition is better, more muscle, less body fat, we not only look better and function more optimally, but again, our immune function is better. So when you take AMPM and Zen Fuse and Zen Prime together, you're going to see a quicker and more kind of greater impact on your body composition, more muscle, less body fat, and less inflammation. And again, this is one of the cornerstones of the Yes system, the synergy behind the products. So in summary, if we think about AMPM as our genetic software, the big question is, who's the programmer? Well, we are the programmer. And each one of us has the potential to change the genes that we've inherited so that they work more optimally. And I love to say this because this is in a number of my books. You know, information, the information I've just given you, can change your thoughts. Thoughts and how you think about things in general can change your habits. And your habits can change your genes. So it all starts with information and how your mind is thinking about what you can do to keep yourself healthy. And so I just want to leave you with the information that not only do we have the products, but we have the science behind the whole Yes system that allows us to give you the potential to live a healthier, more optimal life. And my whole focus with AMPM, again, was to create a product that goes way beyond vitamins and minerals, but actually impacts both your body cells, your stem cells, and is based on the latest new science of epigenetics. That is letting you be your own programmer of your genetic software.